Welcome back to our channel. We want to thank you for watching. In this video, we shall be looking on how Europe's energy switch may boost African energy production. As Europe shuns Russian energy supplies, Africa is poised to increase its oil and natural gas exports to the continent. The transformation of Europe's energy and strategy away from dependence on Russian fossil fuel represents an opportunity for African gas producers. However, there are also risks involved. Citing force majeure, the effects of floods on production and distribution operations, Nigeria's LNG has recently announced that it will not be able to meet the demand of the supply contracts with Portugal's GAP, a multinational energy giant. GAP, in turn, has turned to Algeria to fill the void, importing gas through the Medellin pipeline. This episode illustrates the challenge associated with the emerging energy landscape, characterized by deals that entails extensive market, operation, political and geopolitical risk. Recent changes also expose Europe's fragile inconsistency. Brussels has been forced to make a U-turn in terms of rhetoric and practice, moving away from green evangelization policy that adversely impacted oil and gas production in Africa. Ironically, those countries are now an important part of Europe's attempt to overcome an energy crisis that, amidst inflation and recession, is profoundly affecting the livelihood of many Europeans. If you look at Europe's energy crisis and the African alternative, which is a force to reckon with at the moment, the number of energy deals signed by the European Union and by European states with third countries has substantially increased, and diversification is a priority. Outside Europe, the United States has consolidated its position as a critical supplier of liquefied natural gas, the LNG, with exports to the European Union growing rapidly. This dependency, however, may further compromise transatlantic relations, as also trade wars between Brussels and Washington over green subsidies become a possibility. Russia's war on Ukraine has forced Brussels to reverse its zealous climate policy, with direct and positive implications for African producers. Natural gas has labeled a transitional fuel, and according to the European Parliament, new investment in gas, until recently disincentivized by European banks, are now considered climate-friendly. While the environmental consequences of gas production and processing has not changed in recent months, the economic crisis triggered by the war came at a reality check. Now, Africa accounts for about 20% of Europe's gas import, a share that is likely to increase. Looking at figures, in Africa, where most countries face daunting challenges, this shift has been met with cautious optimism. African political leaders and stakeholders in the energy sector are severely criticized Brussels' green zealousness, denouncing Western hypocrisy on the matter. In a clear sign of growing energy of African countries, the African Energy Transition Bank was created to find alternative and also need some capital to develop oil and gas projects across the continent. Now, Africa accounts for about 20% of Europe's gas import, a share that is likely to increase as we've pointed out. However, while the continent has significant potential, there are vast differences in exploitation, processing, and export capacity. Countries like Tanzania and the Democratic Republic of the Congo have proven reserve, but they lack necessary infrastructure. Others like Mozambique or Mauritania also have significant proven reserves and gas export capacity under construction, although they still need to be operational. In this context, the most significant potential lies with establishment exporters. For example, countries with available gas export facilities like Nigeria, Algeria, Egypt, Cameroon, Angola, Equatorial Guinea, and the Democratic Republic of Congo, just to mention a few countries. Considering the existing infrastructure, pipelines connecting to the European gas networks, and recent deals, Algeria, Egypt, Angola, and Nigeria are particularly well positioned to increase export to European countries and benefit from this particular momentum ongoing. If you look at the specific case with regards to Nigeria, the current context may evolve into a win-win situation whereby European countries diversify their gas supplies, while African countries attract much needed investment, increasing production, meeting domestic and external demand. We have made lots of videos on this particular channel. If you are new here, we encourage you to check the entire channel for you to see more exciting and educating content regards to the global African perspective. Without any more delay, let's just dive straight into it. The materialization of this best case scenario, however, is challenged by several factors, including market risk, economic difficulties, and also geopolitical uncertainty. The case of Nigeria is illustrative. Besides being a major oil producer, Nigeria also has Africa's largest proven natural gas reserve, the 10th largest in the world, and vast renewable potential, most notably in solar energy. Not surprisingly, the country plays an important role in China's go-out strategy if you look at different figures. In 2019, when European banks were beginning investment in oil and gas, Beijing investment in Nigeria energy sector reached over $16 billion. China's footprint includes ownerships and development of oil blocks fields, biofuel production, and also through the Belt and Road Initiative. The financing of major infrastructural projects include transnational highway, high-speed railway systems, and also deep-water seaport. Nigeria's energy security and prospect as a gas exporter are now tied to the development of three major infrastructural projects: the Jakarta-Kaduna-Kano pipeline, the AAK, so the pointer, the Trans-Saharan gas pipeline, and the linking West Africa to Europe, and the Nigerian-Morocco gas pipeline as well. Those projects have recently received renewed attention, given Europe's new energy strategy. The AKK also is a three-phase project to build 614 kilometers pipeline, estimated to cost over $2.8 billion, and destined to transport gas from the Ajaokuta terminal gas station in central Nigeria to the city of Kano in the northwest. The TSTGP, in turn, first conceived in 1970, has been delayed several times since. Niger joined the project in 2008 and also is now intended to link the Niger Delta region through the Nigeria to also Algeria, then into Europe. The 4,100 kilometers pipeline is expected to transport 30 billion cubic meters of gas annually. All these projects oriented towards increasing production, processing, and distribution capacity are required to materialize a win-win scenario for African and European countries. However, they are capital intensive and carry high risk that go beyond market uncertainty. A quick analysis of the oil system provides some warning. Nigeria has more failed to meet OPEC production capacity and quote. And while structural challenges include oil infrastructure and lack of investment are part of the problem, oil theft and corruption also explains this particular outcome. While Europe's long-term goal in energy self-sufficiency that will not happen anytime soon. Currently, the Nigerian Gas Processing and Transportation Limited, a subsidiary of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, which manages most pipelines in the country, is involved in a legal battle with Glencore over corruption allegations. If you consider the particular scenario with regards to how Africa will be benefiting with regards to the energy situation, Europe's rush for African gas entails both risk and opportunities for all sectors involved. While African countries will not be able to replace Russian supply, it is possible to reach a win-win situation under which gas productions attain significant economic gains and European countries diversifying their pool of suppliers and routes. As several analysts warned, Europe may return to its strategy of banning fossil fuel in the medium term. But even under this scenario, established African producers like Nigeria may benefit from current deals, as they provide much more needed capital increased production, processing, and transportation capacity. This, for example, in turn, will be determined to meet rising levels of the domestic demand in countries where energy insecurity remains an obstacle to growth, and also development in continents where over 600 million people do not have access to electricity. In Nigeria's case, to the point out, this win-win situation could be compromised by two factors. The first is that amid a volatile international context, investors and decision makers may refrain from entertaining and containing into the long term high risk and capital intensive energy ventures. That means the political will be financially commitment of the African countries involved in the TSGP will be critical. The second factor, paradoxically, Even under this scenario, the project is completed, foreign currencies earning grow as well, and the investment generates employment. Higher gas rents could contribute to perpetuating predatory policies and shield regimes from popular pressure, thus delaying much needed political and economic reforms in the region. To close down this episode, however, from a regional perspective and considering the new push for trade and economic integration and the continent's demographic prospect, all infrastructure's advances, if well implemented, will have multiple effects on the regional scale. And given that Africa holds around 13% of the world's reserve, gas is expected to become a relevant energy source, paving the way for a sustainable transition without risking much needed economic growth. While Europe's long-term goal in energy self-sufficiency, that will not be happening anytime soon, even under the best-case scenario. But Europe's strategy based on significant dependence on gas from countries like Nigeria or Algeria or delivering routes across the Sahel is unlikely, given the market and geopolitical risk. In the medium term, it could lead to clashes with China, an important creditor with a firm foothold in the country's energy sector. In a scenario of tension, Beijing could use its advantage against European interests. An increasing footprint in Africa's gas sector would also expose Europe to criticism regarding its double standards in Africa, as in the case of migration, which tested Brussels' claim on aid conditionality, democracy and human rights. The current energy crisis has exposed the limits of EU's green evangelism, which until recently severely affected oil and gas production in Africa. Given that Europe relies on soft power, such critics could reduce its clout. We want to thank you for watching. If you are joining us for the first time, we appreciate your time. Let us know what you think with regards to why Africa should take an opportunity with regards to these emerging changes in terms of the energy supply in supporting Europe and Africa making a win-win situation with regards to the energy situation. Thank you for watching. We're looking forward to meeting you soon in our next episode. Have a good day. Bye-bye.